So, papers up, cake down, let's bounce to the dramatic conclusion of our Euro paper roundup season. And what a way to finish with the Champions League final. What's been described here as Chelsea's best night with a German outfit since Harry wore fancy dress to bed. What did they make of it, though, around the rest of Europe? Were Chelsea a brave band of brothers, or just jammier than a wasp at a picnic? Well, the French and the Italians, very much in the former camp. Here's L'Équipe Sunday morning. C'est miraculeux. Drogba for eternity, they say. This Chelsea side may be extremely poor at football, but they are rich in spirit. Yeah, that's what they're rich in. And the heavens were with them. Gazetta, meanwhile, their front page on Sunday. Drogba of Europe. Not so much a story of football as this, as of men. Chelsea were like the Spartans, suggests the Gazetta, and this was their Thermopolis, surviving grotesque numbers, in this case Bayern's 20 corners to their 1, and winning with, paradoxically, their weakest team of the last 9 years. Still, says the paper, the best two sides were watching back in Spain. Interesting. Well, of course, also watching back in Spain were Marca, and they weren't impressed. Above talk of a €25 million move for Kaká by PSG, they called Chelsea the most mean-spirited champions ever. Oh. As, though, have Maracanazo in Munich, using the Latin American slang for a massive upset in a home banker like Brazil-Uruguay at the World Cup at the Maracanã in 1950. And inside they say Chelsea played defensively? Well, yes, but without sullying the game, without time wasting, without unsportsmanlike behaviour. If anything, says As, Bayern were in too much of a hurry. This was everything a final should be, and Chelsea have now paid their debt to Abramovich. And finally, from the Spaniards, El Mundo have Drogba doing his best can-can on the cover, and they suggest that he'll soon be challenging Leo Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo in the Ballon d'Or race. Very interesting. What of the Germans, though? After a night which saw their fortunes change faster than JT into his match kit, that saw more big German misses than a production of the Ring Cycle, what did the Deutsche dailies have to say? Well, let's start with Bild. Look out. Bayern drama. Is Schweini broken, they ask. And inside, is this the kick that broke him? Chelsea rating barely a mention here, relegated to mere bystanders, really, in what's seen as an epic Bayern balls up. Here's Bastian again, on the cover of Die Welt, forgetting to shake the hand of the German president. Asked the paper, was he too devastated? Or did he remember the president celebrating Dortmund's win over Bayern in the cup final last weekend? Der Tagesspiegel. No, that one. Schweini again, busy turning the Allianz Arena into a Tiergarten here. Bayern end with nothing. The headline, they completely dominated, but for the English, 2 minutes was all it took to score an equaliser and force extra time. Typical English efficiency. And here's a Süddeutsche Zeitung cover. Munich weeps, and I think I know who this might be. Munich weeps, their headline. We used to laugh at Leverkusen, says the paper, but now the joke's on us. Although even the biggest Bavarian haters can surely take no pleasure in these pictures of another man's misfortune. Boy, you'd think they'd have a simpler way of saying that in German. Anyway, they mention in the paper Bayern's 1999 last-minute Champions League final defeat to Man United, and they quote Rummenigge saying, this was even more brutal because it was unnecessary. How much bad luck, asked the paper, can fit into a single game? Well, that's sport for you. Sometimes you hit a hole in one, sometimes you end up in a bunker. Sorry, bad analogy. Anyway, let's finish off on the Frankfurter Allgemein, who have a picture of, yes, Schweini on the cover, but inside there's somebody else looking broken. Arjen Robben. Here he is with Jupp Heynckes. Robben threw away the victory early on. The silence before his extra-time penalty was eerie, but after the defeat, it was into the void. Continues the Frankfurter, by now on something of a roll. Like a forgotten piece of furniture after a household redecoration, Robben lies abandoned, alone on the lawn. There's plenty more where that came from, but for now let's draw a discreet veil over Bayern's broken dreams and instead conclude with the weekend's other miracle. Montpellier crowned champions of France. À la folie, says L'Équipe on Monday. It's lunacy, and it really is. A team, this, that just 4 years ago were a penalty kick away from dropping into the French third division, a team that began this campaign with a transfer spend of just €2 million and whose main target was just avoiding relegation. Instead, they end up crowned champions with a 2-1 win over Auxerre that was full of drama, not least because, with rivals Paris Saint-Germain winning on Sunday earlier, Montpellier saw their game held up 3 times because the Auxerre fans kept throwing stuff on the pitch to protest their own relegation. La Payade held their nerve, though, and soon it was all to the Place de la Comédie, in downtown Montpellier, to celebrate. There we are, Comédie on fire, to celebrate their heroes. Lots of other headlines too. They did it, from the Parisien. Le Dauphiné, Montpellier enter into history. John Terry there in his Montpellier kit, and the Independent. Montpellier, champions amid the confusion. Let's go back to L'Equipe for the final note then on this one. The essence of sport, they say, is not victory, but emotion. And Montpellier have brought us so many of those this season. Surprise, pleasure, malice, and yes, even tenderness. In an age of excess, they have chosen to live within their means, and they are good news, for while excesses always end up being paid for, the one thing you can't buy is passion. Wonder how many fortune cookies it took to write that editorial. Anyway, on that note, you've also got to know when to hold them and when to fold them, of course, and that's what it's time for me to do with the papers for a week or two. Our press roundup, though, will be returning with our Euro 2012 coverage in a week or two's time, so make sure you join us then. In the meantime, from all of us here, it's adieu.